You know that the voice in your head isn't true, but it still takes over. Right before you start, right before you speak, right before you choose something different. That voice is actually not the problem. What it makes you to do next. And that is, most people discover the voice and immediately try to get rid of it. They sit down, they catch the thought, they write something kinder next to it. They read it back to themselves. And the next morning, the voice is still there, saying the same thing in the same tone. Because the thought was never the problem. What the thought makes you do next, that is where the cost lives. Think about the moment when you received critical feedback at work or at home. The voice fired immediately. See, you're not good enough. And then you got quiet in the next meeting or at dinner. You stop offering ideas or feedback. You work twice as hard on things nobody asked for. The thought passed in seconds, but the behavior ran for weeks. That is what this video is about. The gap between the voice and the behavior, and how to widen that gap. I postponed making videos for 6 years. Not because I didn't have something to say, and not because the time wasn't there. Because every time I got close to starting, I left the room. Not physically, but I went into an imaginary commentary booth above me, watching myself, measuring myself against everyone already doing what I hadn't started yet. And the voice just started yapping. Who is going to care? There are better speakers than you, better presence, better everything. Why would anyone choose you? That voice had a name. I just didn't know it yet. It was the comparer, always arriving before the beginning to show me everyone who was further ahead. And what it produced was not a decision, it produced a delay. Not yet. When I'm ready, when the conditions are better, when I'm good enough. And we all know the conditions were never better, and 6 years passed. 6 years of work sitting there, waiting, while the voice kept moving the starting line. When I finally recorded the first 3 videos, it surprised me. I had grown more than I expected, and I felt proud of taking the step. I was getting curious about what could I learn. The fear of failing had lived entirely in my head. The voice made the obstacle real, and the work made it disappear. And something else changed as well. When I stopped measuring myself against everyone else, I became more open to real feedback. The voice that compares closes you. Releasing it opens you up. Most people carry one primary voice, the one that arrives the fastest. The one whose tone you have heard so many times. It has started to sound like your own. You make a mistake at work, just a small one. Nobody noticed. But something in you tightens, and the voice arrives before the moment has even passed. You always get this wrong. You should have known better. You are about to walk into a room, a meeting, a dinner, a conversation that matters. And something in the chest contracts. Not fear exactly, more like a scan running. What if they see through you? What if this falls apart? There are so many situations like this. You look at what someone else has built, a YouTube channel, a business, a relationship, how far they have gone, and the voice turns to look at you. Everyone else manages this. Why can't you? You have an idea, a real one, and you feel it. And before you decide to share it, the voice is already there. Don't bother. You're not the type. There is always a specific moment, just a low hum underneath everything. A presence you have learned to carry without knowing its name. Something is fundamentally wrong with you. That is the voice. If one of those scenes felt closer than the others, that is the voice worth mapping. Every voice runs the same sequence. The voice fires, the behavior follows, and something in a relationship pays the cost. For me, it was 6 years of postponing. The comparer, as I call it, fired every time I got close. The behavior was delay, and the cost was the gap between what was ready and what never got started. You might recognize a different version. The voice passes in seconds, but what it leaves behind sits in the room for days, or weeks, or 6 years. That is the chain. And once you can see it clearly enough, you can step into the gap before the behavior completes. Here is what the interruption looks like in real time. When the voice fires, something in the body shifts first. Before the thought even forms, you feel it. Most probably it's tightening somewhere. In your jaw, in your chest, in your stomach. That physical sensation is the earliest warning you have. That is the moment to catch. Right there, when the body first speaks. One question in that moment can help. Is this a fact, or is this the pattern speaking? You are not trying to win an argument with the voice. You are just creating a small gap between the thought and what usually follows it. And in that gap, choosing one different move. The voice says, stay in the commentary booth, freeze, and do not act. Then choose to step back into the room, into the present. When the voice says, not yet, just do one thing, one step. When the voice says, stay quiet, say one sentence, one word. The 5% shift is more than a choice. In the moment the voice fires, that is the whole practice. If the voice is active in you, the signal system below helps you map the voice, the behavior it creates, and the cost it has been running. You can check it out in the link in the description. This is not only about what you build or create. This lives in every conversation you have been circling without entering. Every relationship where the voice said, not now, not safe, not worth the risk. One small move toward curiosity puts you back in the motion. You are no longer frozen around the outcome. You are back inside the moment. That is the shift. That is what the practice produces. And the friends, partners, siblings, parents, or even your child watching you right now, they are learning your responses. What you do when the voice fires, whether you stay in your head or step back into the present and act, what you interrupt in yourself does not get passed forward. Some days you catch the voice early, and some days it catches you first. Both are part of the journey. You walk it day by day. You notice the progress in the looking back. 2 months from now, the voice will still fire sometime. What will be different is how long it runs before you catch it. And that is enough. That has always been enough. This week, once a day, when the voice activates, feel it where it lands in your body first. Ask whether it is a fact or a pattern speaking, and choose differently. Now you can name the voice. The next question is where it came from and whether it is the only one running, because it is not. There are other parts that learned specific strategies for specific threats, still running those strategies in rooms where the threat no longer exists. That is what we go into next. The voice is not the problem. What you do because of it, it is. And that is exactly what you can change. We'll take this one layer at a time. No rushing, no quick fixes, just learning together how the human system actually works, step by step. My name is Tev. See you in the next one. God bless.